Imagine this. You're looking forward to the start of the year with excitement, and then you realize you have a pile of debt looming over you. Not exactly the way to start a holiday, is it? Well, our couple today agrees with you. Meet our futuristic protagonists. Two guys who thought they could do a modern-day version of Robin Hood, only without giving to the poor part. Instead, they decided to rob themselves. This is the story of how two brilliant brains decided to channel their energy into a plan that would make Home Alone burglars look like security professionals. I recommend you do one last check on your jewelry boxes, because we are about to dive into a story that will have your jewelry reeling with excitement. With all of you, Atul and Mahavir's orthodox plan, the jewelry partners who robbed themselves to claim a $7 million policy from the Insurer. Today's story seems like something out of a crime movie with touches of comedy. On the one hand, we have Atul Shah, a 49-year-old diamantaire, and on the other, his partner in brilliance, Mahavir Kankaria, age 45. Both hail from the diamond corners of Gloucester and Norwood in New Jersey. That's right, New Jersey, where diamonds are as rare as a penguin in the Sahara. These two dreamers decided that being diamond dealers was not enough excitement for their lives. So they thought, how about staging a heist? Yeah, you guessed it, a heist worthy of New Year's Eve 2008. Nothing like starting off the new year by stealing big time, right? But wait, these are not exactly professionals on a jeweler's resume. Imagine Harry Styles looking at them and saying, fellas, I think you're a little short on style. These two diamond dealers decided to channel their love of jewelry into a scheme worthy of a Guy Ritchie movie. We're talking about fake thieves, dressed as Jews. Yeah, those you imagine. Orthodox Jews with their unmistakable hats and beards. You might even think you're in the middle of an audition for a Snatch sequel. In their minds, this idea made all the sense in the world. Who could be suspicious of two Jews armed with guns and looking for shine? Of course, then there's the amount they cashed in with the insurance policy. No less than $7 million in diamonds. These two jewelry wizards thought they could fool everyone with an elaborately fake robbery. How do you think they did it? Hello, Mr. Insurance Officer. We saw how some mystical Jews took our jewelry away in a magic cloud. I swear on my favorite diamond. Seriously, imagine these two shopkeepers thinking, you know what would be fun? A heist! And that's how the plot of their own improvised crime movie was born. Sure enough, these two decided that their lives as diamond merchants needed a little excitement. And what's more exciting than staging a heist in the middle of New Year's Eve? But wait a second, you'll say with a raised eyebrow. A bunch of jewelers planning a heist? Are they the new Harry and Marv? Exactly. Atul and Mahavir hired two expert thieves, but with a twist. Disguised as Orthodox Jews. Aha, the new movie villains. Only instead of slippery gloves, they were wearing fake beards and toy guns. And believe me, the police found a real rampage in their store. They thought they could cheat the system and, at the same time, get away with it. But oh surprise, it turns out that the real world is not as flexible as a movie script. As they say out there, you can't steal and have your cake without leaving fingerprints in the cream. Guess what? That's right, the security footage. The ones that these two geniuses tried to erase with drain cleaner. Yeah, seriously. They told a completely different story. It turns out that our master jewelers of disguise decided to do a magic trick worthy of Houdini. Specifically, they swapped out the valuable jewelry for empty boxes in their safe just before the heist. Kind of like if the thieves had replaced the $100 bills with Monopoly tickets. But that's not all. Not content with their rendition of Orthodox thieves in New Jersey, these two daring characters also got tangled up in plastic ties. It must have been like Harry and Marv trying to do magic tricks while trying to catch Kevin McAllister. Of course, as with any great story, there were twists and turns. These intrepid tradesmen filed a $7 million insurance claim, but guess what? The insurers and authorities became suspicious because apparently their companies already had more debt than the budget of a Hollywood movie. While our protagonists dreamed of starting the year in the black, reality caught up with them faster than the New Year's countdown. Instead of a carefree party, they ended up entangled in a legal chase that even Hollywood couldn't have imagined. It turns out that these genius jewelers tried to cheat insurance companies out of $7 million. Yeah, that's more money than Kevin McAllister could ever spend on Home Alone burglar traps. But justice is like a mother who always knows when you've done something wrong, and in this case, the court gave them a good shake. Atul and Mahavir faced a trial full of drama and unexpected twists and turns. Not only did they have to deal with their bumbling attempt at feigned robbery, but they also ran afoul of the laws that treated them like the comedy kings they pretended to be. Imagine the moment in court, the judge looking at them as if they were the stars of their own laugh movie. Messrs. Shah and Kankaria, your performance as Jewish diamond thieves would have been applauded on Broadway, but here we are trying to do justice. And of course, there was no shortage of lawyers trying to decipher this mess of jewelry and disguises. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the case of the century, the diamonds in disguise. Will you be convicted for your bumbling attempt, or will you be rewarded with a star on the Walk of Fame? In fact, here's the plot twist. Atul and Mahavir met the wrath of the law and wham! They were convicted. Their dream of being the new Ocean's 11 turned into a plan closer to Dumb and Dumber. The regular sentence for these cases, according to the Manhattan court, was 15 years. Wow! And now, what you all may be wondering, what is the future for these clever, but not so clever insurance fraud hunters? Well, the reality is that insurers are getting more and more vigilant. Trying to fool them is like trying to hide a donut in a room full of cops. It just won't work. Just as it didn't work for our deception jewelers. Please stay tuned, because the most scintillating lesson in justice in story form is coming. Imagine a gangster movie mixed with the awkward humor of a screwball comedy. Yeah, we're talking about two partners who sought glory, but ended up entangled in legal turmoil that only they could cause. Everyone gets their just dessert sooner or later, goes the saying, and in this case, the two costume and gem artists found the law knocking at their door. But no, this time they weren't plotting another movie heist, but facing a lawsuit from Lloyd's of London Insurance Company. Looks like the law has its own Hollywood-style revenge. It turns out that these two protagonists tried their hand at the master plan of robbing themselves, all with the elegance and class that only two jewelers could have. Imagine James Bond in a jewelry heist, but with an extra dose of absurd humor. However, the insurance company didn't suck their thumb and decided not to fall for their game. So instead of paying them that longed for $7 million, they decided to spend large sums of money investigating the matter. It's as if Sherlock Holmes had traded his magnifying glass for diamonds. In their first defense, Atul and Mahavir insisted that they had been the victims of a real robbery. But as in any good trial movie, even scripts can take unexpected turns. Their lawyers, as if they were magicians of words, announced that the jewelers were finally admitting their guilt. And to make it even more dramatic, a gallery of family members watched them in the courtroom. The plot continues with Shah's lawyer, Benjamin Braffman, entering the scene with words more serious than a jury about to pronounce the verdict. "Shah has lost more than jewelry," he exclaimed. "He has lost his honor and his good name." Of course, because we all know that in the world of diamonds, honor shines brighter than any precious stone. Apparently, it turns out that these two bumbling thieves ran into reality. Their debts were bigger than their ability to play successful thieves. Kankaria's lawyer, Michael Bachner, explained that it was all the fault of serious financial problems and that they simply made a mistake. Ah, right, because who hasn't tried to rob themselves when the wallet is crying? And so we come to the emotional climax of this story. Atul Shah, visibly moved, apologized between sobs. "I will carry this weight all the days of my life," he admitted. It seems the lesson he takes away is that the weight of a diamond does not compare to the weight of guilt. Now, I ask you, have you ever wondered what it would feel like to get a scolding that rang louder than a church bell on Sunday? Well, not even your worst nightmares could compare to the reaction Atul and Mahavir must have experienced when faced with the gigantic comeuppance for their actions against the insurer. Let's get to the heart of the mystery. What happened to the jewels? Jewelry is like the last slice of pizza at a party. We never know who took it. And here comes the big question that left everyone in the courtroom in shock. Where were the jewels? The prosecutor, Kavita Boval, wasted no time and dropped the bombshell like it was an ace up her sleeve, so that the judge herself couldn't resist. Where are the jewels? As if she were in an episode of Where's Wally? but with much more at stake. Turns out those gems had some sort of hide-and-seek game of their own, and not exactly for fun. The scene gets even juicier when the prosecutor calls for 3 to 9 years in prison. And not for nothing, we're talking millions of dollars worth of gems that simply vanished into thin air. In this case, between $8 and $9 million worth has never been recovered, the prosecutor highlighted, as if she were declaring that the invisible thief of the diamond world was on the loose. Hold on, friends, because here comes the judge's part in style. As it turns out, Judge Farber decided it was time to drop some pearls of wisdom. I'm dealing with men who are basically good people who did bad things, he said as he pulled out his deck of moral philosophy. In fact, he did not stop there. As he added the finishing touch, they were raised to appreciate that you don't lie and you don't steal. It's like he was scolding some naughty children in the living room, but with a degree of seriousness that would make even the most experienced thief shudder. That's when the big moment came. The final verdict, the sentencing. Atul Shah, visibly stricken, broke down in sobs. "Your Honor, for the rest of my life, I will bear the sin of this case," he said, as if he were a protagonist of a soap opera crying over his personal tragedy. He even questioned his freedom in the hands of the judge, as if he was in an emotional trial of life itself. For his part, Shah's lawyer, Ben Brafman, stood up and gave us the most brilliant explanation. "This was a crime of economic desperation that was committed out of desperation and stupidity," he blurted out with an air of confidence that would make any audience laugh. It's as if he were in a creative argument competition. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it turns out that the judge was no stranger to the subtleties of humanity. "I'm sentencing good people for doing something very bad," he said with a tone that was a perfect blend of wisdom and a sense of humor. And so, amidst tears, confessions, and judicial musings, our two protagonists received their verdict. Who would have thought that a story of robberies and missing jewelry could be so full of comic twists and moral judgments? But beware, the trial is not yet closed, so keep your little diamond jewelers securely fastened. As it turns out, the comedy continues with our friend Mahavir Kankaria trying to upstage even his performance at the trial. This guy sure knows how to steal the scene. Mahavir, after all the fuss of the trial, decides to throw the ball even further out of court. How? By casually asking if there was any way to bribe the judge. "In my country, you know, we usually do that," the jeweler justified himself. That's like asking at a picnic if someone wants to play cards and ending up with a poker game in Las Vegas. And that's not all, because he also ventured to ask about how to remove his electronic control bracelet from his ankle, as if he were in a conversation about Houdini's tricks instead of in a courtroom. Imagine the bondsman, eyes wide as saucers, trying to figure out if Mahavir was being serious or if he had escaped from a comedy movie. However, Judge Farber was not willing to buy this story. So, he stated that he would not allow this comedy movie to influence his sentencing decision, even though he called the idea of bribing a judge incredibly disturbing. Imagine the judge trying not to laugh as imagine Mahavir trying to bribe him with a handful of diamonds. Well, there you have it, dear viewers. The incredible and crazy story of these jewelers who tried to rob themselves to outwit financial fate. A perfect blend of intrigue, humor, and moral lessons that reminds us that reality sometimes trumps the most outlandish fiction. What do you think could have made two seemingly decent men take such an outlandish path? Leave me your theories and thoughts in the comments section. At this point, you still don't know this story of another insurance hunter? I wouldn't miss it.